Mr. Speaker, as the Chief Medical and Chief Scientific Officer said this morning, the UK is in danger of losing control, as we have seen in many countries in Europe. And as the Secretary of State has said, we could be facing 50,000 new cases a day by mid-October, which would lead to about 200 deaths a day by mid-November. And no one should be in any mistake to think that the virus has changed, and it will not kill people if we get back to where we were in April. I agree utterly with the Secretary of State that we need to take action now, and that action is personal. Every single person has responsibility to stick to the rules, to wear a face covering, to wash their hands and to keep their distance. And I would remind members in this House, because I've been watching it from outside, that that is not always what is on show in this chamber. And we all have a responsibility to set an example. And that responsibility extends to self-isolating. Whether we have symptoms, whether we are proven, whether we are a contact, or whether we have returned from a high-risk country. If we are meant to be isolating, we need to do it. And I really welcome that the government is finally putting in place this financial support for people on low incomes who might be tempted not to isolate because they simply don't have any other opportunities to feed their family. However, it is critical that we have a fast and responsive test and trace system. And therefore, I have a couple of questions for the Secretary of State. In recent weeks, he has talked about aiming to have 500,000 tests a day by the end of October. So, with the surge we are facing, does he envisage being able to accelerate that and bring it forward? And secondly, on the 8th and 15th of September, he committed to me that he would be increasing funding to expand NHS testing. But as we heard from the Shadow Secretary, NHS trusts in England have been told that funding is capped and they are not to expand COVID testing. Surely this is resource that we want to use and make available.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Well, I wholeheartedly agree with the Honourable Lady's comments about the need for action across the UK. And we've seen in Scotland, as in England and Wales and Northern Ireland, that the number of cases sadly has risen sharply. And I welcome her physically back to the chamber in demonstrating this unity of purpose across the four nations of the UK. If we can bring forward the goal of 500,000 tests per day from the end of October, then of course we will, and we're pushing that as hard as we can. We are on track to meet that commitment. As she says, that is across the UK, so that does include the tests that are done by the Scottish NHS, and I know that there have been conversations between the NHS in Scotland and in England to work on making that happen. And as for NHS testing, yes, we are expanding that, including the funding, and in the funding letter that went out to the NHS for the second half of the financial year, so the covering winter, that includes the commitment to support financially the testing that's done in the NHS in England.